Hello, I'm Dr. Erica Caton, Director of Educational and Faculty Development at Florida International University, and I'm here on behalf of the Center for the Advancement of Teaching. My department's sole purpose is to support faculty in identifying and using the most evidence-based teaching practices to increase learning and engagement of their students in the classroom, whether face-to-face, hybrid, or online. As I go through this presentation, I'll talk to you a little bit more about what those three course modalities are and what they will look like for the fall. I'll also talk to you a little bit about some of the supports that are in place, some of the uh, assistance that we provide our students so that they are successful both in and outside the classroom. As you sit and listen to this presentation, I hope that you will take just a little bit of time to think about the top 4 things that students need to do to be successful in class. Later on, before I end my presentation, I'm going to reveal to you those 4 things that we've learned over time in talking to our students. And then what I hope you will do is to share those top 4 things with your students so that they have a head start on knowing exactly what they need to do to be successful in class. I also want to direct your attention to the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. You'll see my email address. If you have questions that come to you later as you watch this presentation, feel free to drop me an email and I'll be happy to respond as quickly as possible to your concerns. Let's continue. You probably recall your own high school classroom or your student's high school classroom looks something much like this image. The teacher could walk up and down, put their arm or reach out and put a supportive hand on the student's shoulder, urging them, providing hints, helping them to solve problems and think about material that they might have just covered in homework or in class or even in the previous week or will go over in future weeks. Thanks to movies and the media, this is the image that most of us have about college classrooms. Large lecture halls with this very tiny person way down front that everyone says is the instructor, and they begin to lecture, so then that's the clue that they must be. Now, it would be disingenuous for me to say that we don't have those large lecture halls at FIU. Most large universities do. However, what you will find is that students at FIU have the opportunity to take classes in both those traditional large lecture halls, but also in that small environment, just as you would have experienced in high school. One of the ways that we help our students traverse the differences in the different sizes and styles and modalities of classes is that we provide learning assistants. Learning assistants are upperclassmen, students who have already completed the course, who have been trained to work with faculty as partners in delivering the information and knowledge that students will need to complete courses. Those learning assistants are really the eyes and ears of faculty, of what's going on in the ground, how students are really feeling, that sometimes they won't actually share with the instructor. Those learning assistants understand what it's like to be a student learning material new for the very first time and can offer hints and tips and support to students that often the instructor can't. You'll see in this image, there are 3 people standing, appearing to be the instructor or to be offering some support or suggestions. The instructor in this course, Dr. Sat Kavasa, who teaches a general biology class, is standing in the gray. And those learning assistants, the young lady in the white top and the gentleman in the blue t-shirt, are upper class students, students who've already taken general biology and are now hired and trained and enlisted to support their peers. Dr. Gavasa teaches her large biology section in the small pod-like setup. You see here that the students aren't sitting in large room with big long rows or even in a very small classroom. They're actually sitting in small groups of 6 to 8 students with a computer screen wherein they can sit together, discuss material, play with, and experiment with content as it relates to maybe what they've read prior, what they just heard in a short lecture, or some activity that the instructor is asking the students to work on and problem solve around. We have one of the largest LA programs in the country. We use our LAs in the STEM courses, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, but we also have LAs in psychology courses and history courses and in English and writing courses as well. We've found these students to be an invaluable resource, and hopefully some of your students will choose to become LAs in their sophomore or even junior or senior year. One of the other supports that we provide at FIU to help students be successful in class and to complement what they're learning in class are our math labs. We have math labs on both the main campus and the North Miami campus. Those math labs, and what makes them special, is that those same learning assistants that are available to students in the classroom are also staffing that math lab space. Additionally, there are some faculty who work and have their office hours in that math lab space. Currently, our faculty and learning assistants are working hard to be certain that we can offer that same support to students, whether they are on campus taking class or attending courses remotely in the fall. We want all students to experience a seamless opportunity to be able to access the math lab support. We believe in it. It is proven successful, and all students who are in math courses, of course, will have an opportunity to utilize and take advantage of this service. You'll see here just a quick image of the math lab and what it looks like when you arrive there. The math lab has been, as I said, an invaluable resource. In the fall semester, due to physical distancing, the numbers of students that will be allowed in the math lab will certainly be decreased. However, those services will be offered virtually for students who can't make it to campus or are taking math in the hybrid modality or remotely. One of the major focuses at FIU when it comes to classroom learning and teaching is active learning. You might recall when you first learned to drive, or maybe you play an instrument, that it wasn't until you got behind the wheel of the car or you picked up the guitar, you got the drumsticks, that you really began to understand what it is that you could do. In most cases, we learn by doing. And we understand now through research and brain science that learning by doing is exactly the way that we should engage in our college classrooms. So, students, much like in that earlier course that I showed you the image of in Dr. Gavas's biology course, students may be asked in their classrooms to work with their partners, work with their neighbors to solve a problem, given a case study, a hypothetical situation, to then use the material that they are learning in class, in lectures, or reading in homework or outside classroom activities, and applying those lenses, those frameworks, those procedures and practices to the problem that they're being given. Students may be asked to engage in group work, to complete larger projects, to design, develop, and build models. We know that this works, the research tells us, and we support our faculty in the Center for the Advancement of Teaching in infusing active learning activities into their courses when and wherever they can. Why do I share this with you? You'll find that most students have a love-hate relationship with group activities. And so we also work really hard with our faculty to help them facilitate group work so that students have positive experiences with group learning. You see here in the image, the one who does the work does the learning. And so the opportunity to share your ideas, to try a solution, maybe not have it work on the first try, and then try again, is where the learning happens. And so students will sometimes sit in small groups, much like you see here in these images, working, talking, discussing, and solving problems, or looking ahead toward future solutions. Many of the jobs that we see today didn't exist many years ago. And so students are not only thinking about why and how the problems of the past occurred, but how they impact the future and what our future might hold if we can solve some of our greatest challenges. So let me talk a little bit about the delivery modes or modalities. There is online delivery of courses. Fully online courses are not happening at the same time, or what we call asynchronous. An instructor is providing content, instruction, material, maybe lectures, maybe videos, and work that the student must complete within the allotted time frame, but there may or may not be a simultaneous conversation happening between the students and faculty. In the hybrid modality, students are attending class for some portion of their course and then doing outside course activities, outside class learning to supplement what they are learning face-to-face. Typically, the hybrid split is 50-50. Students are doing 50% of the work in class and 50% of the work outside of class. For the fall, due to COVID-19, we've shifted those percentages to make allowances for physical distancing, and students will experience either 1/3 of the class time face-to-face in class and 2/3 outside of class, or 2/3 in class and 1/3 outside of class. What that does is allow the instructor to have smaller numbers of students face-to-face in the classroom so that we observe physical distances, but allow all students to have the opportunity to meet and engage with a faculty member at least once face-to-face each week. Remote learning is the newest and temporary response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Remote learning are basically virtual meeting spaces where faculty and students will meet simultaneously. So for example, if I'm taking an English class on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays from 10 to 10:50, every Monday and Wednesday and Friday, I'm going to log on to the site designated by my professor, and my professor is going to engage us in some course content. The instructor may break us into groups and have us work on activities, but ultimately, I will be hearing from, talking to, and communicating with my instructor at the predetermined time that that course was scheduled. The only difference will be that we won't be in the same physical space together, but I'll still need to carve out time to be logged in at the predetermined time in the course schedule, to be prepared to stay through the duration of the course, and to complete the work at the designated timelines and deadlines as laid out in the course syllabus. So, remote learning is the most unique for us. It's also a temporary solution. Your students may have a variety or some selection of all of these different modalities. They may choose to take an online course. They may have a hybrid course. They may even have a course that the instructor has decided to deliver remotely. When they meet with their advisors and register for courses, the coding for what the course delivery mode is will be included in that space, and the advisor can help students to make decisions about what they'd like to do in terms of how or what modality they will study in. So that's the main difference between those three. Hybrid courses are unique because they offer the best of both worlds, both that online experience and that face-to-face experience. Hybrid courses, as I mentioned earlier, are typically a 50% split. Students are in class 50% of the time and doing work outside of class beyond just homework in preparation or as building onto the learning that they acquired face-to-face. While hybrid offers some flexibility for tight schedules, it does also require a certain amount of self-regulating behavior, in that your instructor may ask you to do homework that reinforces what you've learned in class face-to-face or is reinforcing the previous week's lessons. But that instructor may also ask you to watch a video, attend a special presentation, observe a laboratory or some other live demonstration. Those activities are above and beyond, typically, the homework for the course. And we think of it as the out-of-class work or activities are preparation, and the homework activities are reinforcement. And that's kind of a good way, sort of rule of thumb, if you will, on how to understand the difference between out-of-class activities and homework. Here's an example. In the math department, their hybrid courses, their face-to-face courses follow this very traditional path. You'll have 2 credits or 2 hours face-to-face, 2 hours required in the math lab, 1 hour of non-class activities, which can be online learning or online tools and resources, and then a recommended 9 hours of study time. And study time, we all know, can be often in small study groups with friends who are taking the same course. It could be drilling on vocabulary. It could be rewriting notes and organizing your thoughts from the previous day's lecture. And certainly, it's some homework activities or project work that you might need to complete for your course. In the hybrid modality, you quickly see that 2 hours of face-to-face time quickly splits in half to only 1 hour of face-to-face time. The required math lab hours stay the same for those students, but now our non-class activities jumped from 1 hour a week to 3 hours a week. So those are those preparation activities. And then our recommended number of study hours, well, those dropped by about an hour, but the students are still expected to engage in as many or few hours as they might need. There is no set formula on how much time students will spend on each class. It really is student dependent. If I'm in a course for which I've had lots of preparation, I have a natural interest, the material and the time that passes may not be very challenging for me because I have an interest, I'm enjoying what I'm learning, I see it as something that comes naturally to me. If I'm in a course for which maybe the content is very new to me, maybe I've not studied this subject before, maybe it's a subject that I sometimes struggle to understand the concepts, maybe it's a subject where I need to spend a bit more time studying vocabulary because the vocabulary is new to me. In which case then I may find that in that course I'm spending a lot more time in that class in order to be successful than I might be spending in some of my other courses. And that's really just kind of how it works. Each semester will bring with itself new challenges, new solutions, and new strategies. And each semester as a student, I'm making an evaluation or an assessment on how much time, effort, energy, and input I need to expend in order to be successful. And that's all a very individualized process. So, I told you earlier that I would reveal the tips for classroom success. So now wait a moment, think about it. The top 4 things students need to do to be successful in class. What do you think they are? Well, here you go. While it may be a surprise, for some, that very first bullet, students should certainly attend class. Being in class is the most important part of being successful. And I would add, being present in the moment in class is really the most important. Being present, being alert, being attentive, being prepared, being ready to engage with your peers and your instructor around new and exciting ideas. Even when there seem to be distractions going on around us, our phones, our friends who decided to attend other institutions, maybe chores and responsibilities outside of class, maybe work, all kinds of other things, clubs, fraternities, sororities, events that might be happening. When I'm in class, that's my time to improve myself. And as a practice of self-care, certainly you want to give all of your time and attention when you're in that classroom space. Certainly get to know other students. As much as we all struggle and don't always feel great about engaging in group work activities, group work really does give you an opportunity to get to know folks. And in a large institution where you're coming for the first time, maybe this is a perfect opportunity to get to know folks you never met before who are studying majors that you have little knowledge or understanding or awareness of. Folks who have different backgrounds, different uh, family stories, different narratives that they can share and will help you to grow. And then you can share your story and help them to grow. So get to know other students. Schedule sufficient time out of class to prepare and study. So I'll go back to that group work thing again. One of the reasons that folks hate group work is because they always feel like folks aren't pulling their weight. And so it's super important, not just when you're in a group, but even when you're thinking about your own time, attention, and preparation, is to make time, right? To schedule it the same way that you would schedule time to work out or time to be with friends, scheduling time to attend events. You want to also really be purposeful about scheduling time to prepare. You may not need the same amount of time every week, but you certainly want to pencil into your calendars if you're someone who still likes to use a paper calendar, or into your phone as a way of keeping track of each week I'm dedicating this time to improving myself and my academic success. And finally, use FIU resources. It says including, but I would say especially faculty. In the fall, things will look a little different probably than what you expected for your first semester in college. Your professors will be available virtually via email, Zoom, Skype, Google Hangouts. They have been spending their spring and summer availing themselves of all of the training and tools that we have offered to prepare them to work with you in the fall semester. Introduce yourself to your professor. Send them a short email. Tell them your name and your major or what ideas you have for the future. Talk to them about why you're taking their course and what you hope to learn. They want to get to know you as much as you want to get to know them. And here's an insider tip. When all of this is done in 4 years, when you are ready to graduate, you might be thinking about graduate school, medical school, law school, internships, volunteering, jobs. And in all of those cases, the one thing that you will find that they have in common is that they often all ask for letters of recommendation or references. And the more meaningful a relationship you have with your faculty, the easier and more meaningful those letters of recommendation and references can be. So introduce yourself. Don't worry about being a pest or getting in their way. Ask them about their research. Ask them where they went to school. Ask them why it is that they picked the particular area to study. They are passionate about what they know and do and are just eager and excited to share it with you. So those are the insider tips. Use your advisor, use the counseling center, use the rec center, use student activities, student org events, hang out at the dining facilities, talk to people, move around campus where you can, stay engaged if you're virtually studying, talk to people, schedule time to meet with your classmates outside of the class time, right? Schedule a Google Hangout, create a WhatsApp group. But just make the effort to use all of the resources that are available to you. Even if you don't need it, do a bit of a shopping or a scavenger hunt. Check out all the resources, know where they are, so that if you do need them, you'll have that much easier time finding your way back to them. And if you don't, it'll just help make campus seem that much smaller for you in the long run. So, there are 4 tips. Feel free to share those with your students. Feel free to share any of the advice that I've given you with your students. Talk to them about how they're going to schedule their out-of-class time. And in a few weeks after the start of school, ask them what they know about their faculty. Ask them if they've made those introductions. Encourage them to find out more about the institution and what it means to be a student at FIU and all of what's available to them. Talk to them about it. As I mentioned earlier, if you have any additional questions at all, and you maybe missed my email address on the previous slides, here it is one last time. Please email me at ecaton@fiu.edu. My name is Erica Caton. I'm the Director of Educational and Faculty Development at the Center for the Advancement of Teaching, and I wish you a great fall semester. Good luck and best wishes.